Sage, we have heard about for quite some time the impending, and many happening right now, generative AI attacks that are essentially much of what we've seen before, but at a scale that we've never seen before. Explain what is going on with generative AI attacks. And it's multi-channel, multimedia, multi-everything.
Deloitte is predicting over, $40 billion worth of damage from generative AI attacks over the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. We have already seen $1 billion worth of damage across Singapore, Korea, and Japan over the last 3 months, with multiple massive breaches across major institutions like SK Telecom, Rakuten. It's catastrophic levels that are happening now because you can create attacks that are more targeted, more individualized at a scale that has never been before humanly possible. The source of 90% of breaches is now easier and more accessible to everyone. Hackers aren't using templates anymore.
One of the things I've heard about is like the new people that join the company that they hit before the security awareness training actually goes into effect. That's like one of the prime targets.
Oh, absolutely. We see that every day. Immediately when someone announces they've joined a company on LinkedIn, they are targeted through multi-channel attacks with spear phishing. That is a major disruption, not only to them, but also to business continuity for the entire business. And it's not only just that they're being spear phished. They're being deepfake attacked with images or voices from their bosses or their senior people. Actually, I've heard firsthand examples from banks after a merger where the person was iffy about their job, they're nervous going into the position, and they get messages from what is purported to be their new boss asking them to bring, guess what? Gift cards to work.
By the way, as a CEO, and I'm sure you're the same way, you chronically need gift cards, and for some reason you can't get them yourself.
I need gift cards. I ask my employees every day, you got to bring gift cards to work today.
I know there's a lot of companies offering solutions like this. Walk me through how Jericho is handling this, because it does seem overwhelming. I honestly don't know what are the scale levels of creating defense. Walk me through what you're doing.
Well, there's a major differentiation here in that we are the only self-service one, and seeing is believing. So I encourage people to sign up and immediately start using us. That is opening up massive underserved markets where people actually weren't able to use the old systems because they are difficult to use. They are stagnant incumbents that we hear constantly. And even if you do use them, their training is obsolete.
Are you finding the personal information and creating those extremely targeted style attacks so we can simulate in our own environment?
My background was building knowledge graphs from dark data. So we started with that and then amplified it with an LLM to create the targeted attacks. Actually, our first client was the US Air Force. The core of our engine is inherently differentiated because of that, and we're the only weapons grade platform out there that can replicate the sort of spear phishing as well as deepfake attacks that we're seeing at the nation state as well as individualized level.
How are you actually learning about the style of different targeted phishing attacks and spear phishing attacks so you can then simulate it in other people's environments?
We automate all of that by combing the dark web as well as automating open source intelligence work to be able to create those targeted attacks. And oftentimes we are ahead of the attackers because we are incentivized to build out the most dangerous version of these. For example, we don't just do generative attacks. We also do landing pages for credential capture simulation too. And then about 3 months ago, people were noting that the hackers were using Vercel for that. It's like we already had that for many months ahead of it because it's very clear where this can be weaponized and where the world is headed now. And we can be way ahead of them.
Do you have like creative people on your team coming up with the next giant comic book scenario?
A lot of sci-fi fans on the team.
Yeah, that's good.
And a lot of cybersecurity expertise also on our team. That is in our DNA.
It sounds like you got a combination of actually creative types developing this stuff and AI developing it for you, and the two together are creating these simulations that are very targeted for every environment. Do I have that correct?
Exactly. Augmented intelligence across the board with cybersecurity expertise, as well as an engine that's purpose-built for cyber warfare.
What can companies or individuals do once they've been tested, they fail to succeed? I mean, what happens next?
Well, really, what really matters now is that if we want people to click, we can get them to click. We've seen that.
If somebody wants to get me, they will get me.
Exactly.
That's why we talk about these phishing rates. They're bogus because it all depends on like how hard you're tuning it.
Click-through rates in any sort of organic environment are going through the roof. So that's number one. that is inherently scary, but people should not be afraid because what happens afterwards is what really matters. If they are scared to report that attack, then that is a catastrophe. They need to be able to make sure that the CISO is accessible, that you have a security culture that is embracing and education forward to be able to make sure that people know exactly what to do when there is an inevitable issue.
And not to be punished because you did it.
Well said. Yeah, we have all sorts of studies that show that being punished is actually detrimental to the entire security org.
When they're signing up for trial accounts, let's just close this out. What exactly is going to happen so they can see it for themselves?
They'll have access to multi-channel attacks. So we're one of the few providers that provides not only email, because we're seeing attacks over messaging channels, as well as over voice, as well as over video. And we offer video now as a managed service to be able to test that out with people too, where you can create deepfakes of senior executives and use that in a deepfake simulation attack too. They'll also be able to access our education that is also generative and is created immediately based off of the attack. E-learning that annotates the attack with our unique blue teaming, red teaming model. So the red team attack is then annotated by the blue team so you can see how you're being attacked, understand that, and make sure that that doesn't happen in the future. And lastly, we also have a triage product where if it's reported, it will automatically analyze that attack with the same blue team model and then offer remediations to be able to help protect the institution from that attack.
You want to try that out yourself? See it for yourself? What's better than a free trial to actually and personalize? That's what I love about this. It's a free personalized trial. That's fantastic. Go to Jericho Security right there. Thank you so much, Sage.